But we continue this time around with a guest in studio, and she is here to talk more on Zimbabwean business. Now, she's an Algerian serial entrepreneur, and her name is Chiraz. She is the founder of Pitch World Fast, an Africa-focused business development consulting company, and she has been in Zimbabwe on a quest to find out and discover the markets and understand our trends in Zimbabwe, and also find some potential opportunities for business people in the country. And today we will be discussing with her takeaways of her discovery mission, a role of private and public businesses in the sector. Good morning, Chiraz, and thank you for joining us on Good Morning Zimbabwe.
Good morning, Nicole. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
It's such a pleasure. I mean, let's start with your organization, it's Pitch World Fast. What is it about and how did it start?
I actually started the company 7 years ago. I thought, because I worked in more than 12 countries, so I wanted to share this experience with emerging markets, especially Africa, to really help them grow and tap in their potential. So what I do is really supporting African companies, individuals, authorities get access to the right resources so that they can grow and really be who they can be and champions at the end of the day.
All right. So is there a specific sector that you focus on, or it's pretty much every sector that's available in the country?
I focus on a lot of, obviously, industries, and I'm very polyvalent, but I focus on the three that I think are the pillars also of Africa. One being healthcare, because we do need resilient healthcare system. The second one being agriculture. We need to feed our population, but also need to export. And the third being energy.
So I do understand that you met with a couple of companies in the country. You've met with the likes of Zida, Zimtrade. You've also met with a university, the Midland State University. What have you seen so far? Are they good opportunities for Zimbabweans and foreigners in the country?
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is that I'm honestly thankful, because I came here thanks to SAGIT, which is the Science Advanced Global Innovation Technologies, which is the people who organized the Atlas Convention here in Harare in Zimbabwe. And it was a great opportunity because it was for me to see what is going on. And as you mentioned, so I met the agencies so we could see the potential and how they wanted also not only to boost the economies, and I met with young entrepreneurs that had amazing ideas that some of them can really help not only Zimbabwe but Africa and globally. And you had, for example, in Midland State University, even we had one that was using recycled plastic to have bricks for buildings. So that is amazing. We're all talking about climate change nowadays, right? So I think there is a lot of potential. And what is good, because I also went to Zimbabwe University Innovation Center, is that Zimbabwe is also not only having those entrepreneurs, like boosting them, but they're also helping them so it matches the industry needs, and that really they commercialize it. So I think there's an interesting model, but also a lot of potential. And I actually met with my ambassador, so the Algerian ambassador to Zimbabwe, same thing. He told me about some opportunities we have also between Algeria and Zimbabwe, which I think we really need to tap into. So I came as a surprise and stayed like 10 days. But I really urge people to come to Zimbabwe. There are things that if I wouldn't have come, I wouldn't know that you're actually doing it.
That's for sure. You've mentioned that Algeria. Do you think there are business opportunities for Zimbabweans in Algeria?
Yes. My answer has to be short, but because I really see it. We have it in agriculture and agri-tech, and you have, this flagship project with Smart Africa. So there is definitely a lot of opportunity in this. There is also same thing in agriculture, but when it comes to food, so I've seen also the food, the export of cows. You have also everything that is related to leather, and not to forget some that can work with the pharmaceutical industry, because you have raw materials, so natural plants that can be used, processed, that definitely, because we have a very strong pharmaceutical sector in Algeria that are also looking to diversify the raw material, and that is also great opportunities for Zimbabwe.
Wow, that is really good news, and especially for our business people in the country. But coming back to Africa as a whole, I mean, we've got a development where we've got the Africa Free Trade Continental arrangement, and so far we've got 8 countries that are currently trading under that arrangement. What do you think we as Zimbabwe need to do to make sure that we capitalize on that?
So the first thing is definitely, even though we're not part Algeria included, of these 8 that are implementing it. I do believe that we need, and Zimbabwe should definitely look at a real action plan to how to implement it. One of the things, and this goes in line with what Zimbabwe is doing, is really make sure that we're not exporting anymore only raw material. This is true for Zimbabwe and for Africa. We need to really bring value and bring innovation to everything that we are doing. So I think for Zimbabwe, you're strategically positioned. I went to Vic Falls, but I saw all the custom, I saw all the borders.
Yes,
and
yes,
I'm like,
there's so much going on, yeah.
I know, and you have obviously the tourism, but I do believe that you have also such a good experience that can share with Africa. So I think it is for Zimbabwe to be open to share its experience, work on the innovation, make sure to work on your industrialization, the 4th industrial revolution, but also real infrastructure, looking at electricity, looking at infrastructure. So you have all the baseline so that you can support the private companies, you can support, and the government can also export and go abroad and go within Africa, not only to sell its product, but also buy African products. Because if we want the AFCFTA to be successful, we need to not only have African products, but we need to buy them and also make sure, and I know Zimbabwe is doing it, encourage women, encourage the youth.
I think this is actually like quite a good word of advice, and especially to our business people. I think most of the time when we think business, we're thinking, how do I sell? We're not thinking, how do I buy? So it definitely needs to be reciprocal. But before we let you go, what word of advice do you have, and especially to an entrepreneur who's got a small business, on what other ways they can expand?
I told you my focus is really export. So I will always tell them, first, do research. Please don't go to any country without having done any preparation. The second, don't play to some extent the blame game. Really have open discussion with your government, with other partners around, so that you can really build what you want to see and really find solutions. This is what I do when I coach, actually, or even through our African webinars. We keep this open discussion with the authorities and the private sector, because at the end of the day, if we do not work together, we're not going to go far. So as an entrepreneur, make sure that you do your research, make sure that you are prepared, make sure to tap in all these opportunities and see what your government, but also foreigners, can offer to you. Be open, adapt, and go for it.
Go for it. That's for sure. How do people get in touch with you in case they need your consulting services?
They can go to pitchworldfast.com. We're also on social media, and I can give my email if they'd like, which is Chiraz@pitchworldfast.com. Happy to support and happy to work together so that we can really, again, I'm saying, make in Africa the champion that it is.
Thank you so much for joining us, Chiraz.
Thank you,
It's
Nicole.
really been a pleasure having this discussion with you. I think it's really quite important and detrimental that we speak on how to export and how to import African products and just grow as an African continent. So that was our discussion here with Chiraz. She was joining us, and she is the founder of Pitch World Fast, a consulting service company, and she was here just telling us of the opportunities that we need to take as Africans for Africa. Good.